being here, I'm going to assume that each of you is here because you are seeking solutions that can help improve your quality of life. And I'm really passionate about natural health. I tease all the time that my wife has to be my filter because she'll tell me, Scott, people don't want to hear about that all the time. So you need to stop talking about natural health, but I really can talk forever, and I have actually given seminars that have been 6 hours long about natural health. So I'll try and be succinct today because my time is a little bit limited, but I'm really glad that we're talking about the wellness pyramid today because I think that modern society focuses on rescue medicine right now. We expect to do whatever we want in our lifestyle, and then we search for something that's going to rescue us from the lifestyle choices that we have made. And just a quick example of that, if I have achy knees when I'm walking up the stairs, but yet my diet is full of inflammatory foods like highly refined oils and highly processed foods and fast foods, then how do I expect to fix my achy knees? Because I'm giving my body everything it needs to have a massive inflammatory response rather than correct it, right? So it's important that we look at how our lifestyle is affecting our overall well-being. Because once we establish our lifestyle, then everything else we do that are like informed self-care is going to work so much better for us. If you don't spend a lot of time on the foundation of your wellness, which is nutrition and digestion and then movement and metabolism, then inevitably you're going to spend more time in medical care. That's just the reality. You will spend a lot more time in medical care the less attention you give to the lifestyle factors at the foundation of your wellness. And most of us have probably seen this in a family member or a friend, a coworker, a neighbor, maybe even seen it in ourselves. And that was certainly true of myself during my early 20s. When I was younger, I was very active. I played 4 sports growing up. I lifted weights very frequently because I needed to have certain physical fitness for the sports I was playing. And because of that, I had a really strong youthful metabolism, and so I could really eat whatever I wanted, and it didn't matter. But what happened to me after high school, I was disconnected from those sports now a little bit, and focused on other things. And in my early 20s, I found myself 50 pounds overweight and with a chronic autoinflammatory condition. And that really changed the way I thought about my health again. And I thought, I need to get back to the way I was living and be active again. So I did. I changed my lifestyle, and I was able to release that weight and also put my autoinflammatory condition in remission. It really changed my life. So my goal is to help us focus today on the wellness pyramid rather than the unwellness pyramid. And we want to give us, our body, what it's designed to do to function optimally. One of the things we need to understand when we talk about nutrition is that your body craves nutrients, not calories. But today's food supply actually is reversed. It's full of calories and lacks nutrients. And so that becomes a problem that we have to overcome because we have an abundance of cheap and readily available packaged foods that are just not, they're full of junk. Let's just put it out there. They're full of junk. They don't give our body the nutrition it needs. And it's something that we need to reverse. One example of that is when you compare a wild apple, it has 100 times more phytonutrients and significantly more vitamin C than an apple you would buy in the store, even if it's an organic apple currently. And that's because modern agricultural practices actually focus on yield and taste. And guess what doesn't taste very good? Micronutrients. So we inadvertently bred out a lot of micronutrients in our crops because of that. An unhealthy lifestyle leads to illness, disability, and death. And in fact, I would say that an unhealthy eating and lack of physical activity is the leading cause of death in the United States right now. And some statistics show that, because an unhealthy diet is linked to over 678,000 deaths every year in the United States alone. So we definitely need to change our lifestyle if we want to improve our well-being. What you eat has a significant impact on your health status, your weight, how you feel, and unfortunately, because we have bred out a lot of the micronutrients in our crops, you can see that we actually are lacking a lot of those key nutrients that our body needs to function at its best in our modern diet. And there's been it's called the EAR, Estimated Average Requirements. This is put together by the government, and they are trying to guide us to know how much micronutrients we should be taking into our body based on our age and gender. But unfortunately, it doesn't really focus on the optimal level of these nutrients. It's kind of a minimum amount. And most of us are not getting nutrients. I mean, you look at vitamin D and E alone, 90% plus of us are not even meeting this EAR that's up here. So, and that's something we know because the USDA has been monitoring our produce and the nutritional content in them since the 1950s. And we've seen dramatic declines in the majority of our produce since they've been tracking. The other thing you'll often see is the RDA, or the Recommended Daily Allowance, which is an ironic name because it's neither a recommendation nor an allowance. It's actually just an adequate intake amount to hopefully avoid deficiencies of those nutrients. But recent research says that these are not sufficient to avoid the deficiencies. And a great example of that is this little guy on the screen that's questioning the RDA for protein. So the current RDA for protein is 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight is what we should get. And that was based on hopefully trying to reduce the muscle mass loss. But more modern research actually shows that you need 1.2 to 1.6 kilograms if you want to maximize protein synthesis, especially as you age. And so these RDAs are just not sufficient to keep us in a healthy state. Your body and all of its many processes rely on proper nutrition. And when you have inadequate macro or micronutrients, it can lead to problems with your bones, cardiovascular system, metabolic health, and your hormones can become imbalanced, just to name a few things that can cause. So we all experience hunger signals, and this sensation really is designed to signal to your body that you need more nutrients. And it's controlled by your hypothalamus as well as the amount of blood sugar you have and other hormones. And so when you're feeling hungry, you are really being told by your stomach to your brain that you need some kind of nutrient in your body, not calories, nutrients. And so you need to get those nutrients into your body. The macronutrients are those nutrients that we need high levels of, and they include those carbs, proteins, and fats. And when you consume these, the body breaks them down so that it can use the various parts that they supply for functions and muscle building, and also giving structure to our cells. An example of that would be the amino acids that are found in protein. As you consume a protein, the body breaks it down into individual amino acids that the body then uses for its various functions. So doTERRA's Lifelong Vitality Pack is designed to give your body macro and micronutrients it needs to assist the various functions that keep us healthy. It provides your body with health, energy, and longevity. And it's 3 different supplements that work together as a foundation of your nutrition and the foundation of your health. The Microplex VMZ gives you those foundational micronutrients that your body needs. And then you have C Omega, which provides essential fatty acids, so the fats are macronutrients, as well as antioxidants and CPTG essential oils. And then you have Alpha CRS Plus, which provides cellular cofactors that extend the healthy function of your cells, lead to cellular energy production, and antioxidants that support your defenses against free radical attacks. Now, one of the advantages of the Microplex VMZ, well, a couple of advantages, is the technology used to help it be more like a whole food complex. Because science shows us that our body doesn't intake isolated micronutrients as well as it does when it's receiving nutrition from something that's in a whole complex thing like a food. Like your apple does not just have vitamin C, it has fiber and other phytonutrients and quercetin and things in it that are going to be beneficial. So your body recognizes better when it receives a complex nutrient rather than isolated nutrients. And one way to do that for your minerals is called chelation. And chelation basically binds these minerals to an amino acid, so it's bound to a protein that you can actually have your body recognize as a complex food, and it will more easily and readily absorb and utilize those minerals. And that's the case with chromium and copper, iron, manganese, and zinc in our product. The other way you can do it is called full spectrum, because this is not single isolated nutrients, but it really relies on the natural complexity that's found in nature. And that's the case for like vitamin E, where you are going to get mixed tocopherols, because vitamin E is a mixture of substances. It's not just one actual molecule. And then the vitamin A has the corresponding provitamin A carotenoids with it, and so that gives you the full spectrum nutrients. Another thing that we do to give it this whole food complex is called a glycoprotein matrix. And to really simplify what happens here, this puts a vitamin into a culture of lactobacillus and yeast, and it grows on this and binds the vitamin into this complex so that it has a protein attached to it at the end, and this makes things like vitamin K and vitamin B highly bioavailable so that they're better absorbed. If you've ever taken like a B complex or B vitamin supplement in isolation before, and you've had really bright yellow urine, that's because it's a water-soluble vitamin, and those vitamins that are not absorbed actually get peed out, and so you just lose them that way. So LLV does have clinically supported benefits that will help keep us in overall health, and what it does is help support health at the cellular level, because if you can have healthy cells, then you're going to have healthy tissues and organs, and a healthy organism, which is you. Cells are threatened daily by free radicals, and these come into our body in one of two ways. Your own body actually produces free radicals as part of processes that normally occur in the body. That would be metabolism and even breathing. Those produce free radicals that your body has to deal with. And externally, we can be exposed to it through pollution and through chemicals and sun exposure and smoking and radiation, so lots of ways externally. Your body's defense against these things is antioxidants. And unfortunately, most of us don't get enough antioxidants in our diet alone, so we need to get them through supplementation. If we haven't learned something over the last few years, that we need a strong immune system to maintain good health, I don't know what will teach you that you need a strong immune system. But there are several lifestyle factors that actually diminish our immune system activity, and that's things like not sleeping enough, poor nutrition, and other things that just knock down our immunity so that we don't have proper immune function. And LLV actually, each one of the three products supports immune function in some way. LLV gives the micronutrients you need in order to have healthy function. Z Omega is giving you the essential fatty acids that play diverse roles in immune cells, like energy, structure, signaling molecules, and acting as immune mediators themselves. And then you have the Alpha CRS Plus, which is a potent blend of antioxidants that can help to support our immune system against those free radical attacks that occur every single day. The other thing is the clinical energy production, because it occurs at the cellular level, and it's a really complex process, but really the important structure is our mitochondria. They're the powerhouse of the cells, right? And they produce cellular energy by combining oxygen with food molecules, and that produces ATP, and then that's used for the energy that we need. The other things we need B vitamins, which are important for cellular energy production. So it's important that we get these through supplementation in order for us to produce enough energy. I'm sure many of us are probably, especially as you age, are saying, I could use more energy during the day, right? And so this is a great thing that we can have. So LOV provides a balanced blend of vitamins, including those antioxidant vitamins A, C, and E, an energy complex of B vitamins, vitamin D3, whole food ingredients that improve the bioavailability and enzymes that help your body digest and absorb and assimilate those nutrients, which all leads to improved stress management, better cardiovascular health, improved musculoskeletal health, cognition, digestive health, and more. So it's really a foundational thing. Now moving on to Z-Omega, essential fatty acids are some of the most clinically studied nutrients, and study after study after study has revealed that they provide us a host of health benefits. One of the things that they do is to stabilize your cell membranes, because our cell membranes are actually made of lipids or fats, and so they rely on these fats for structure. And so if we can stabilize the cell membranes in our cardiovascular system, then we're going to improve cardiovascular system function, which means we have more oxygen and nutrient-rich blood that gets to our cells, tissues, and organs. In addition, the Z-Omega provides some antioxidants in astaxanthin, vitamins D and E that support cellular responses and healthy immune function. When we talk about keeping our cells in a very healthy or youthful function, we have to talk about telomeres. And telomeres are actually caps at the end of our DNA. And they basically protect our DNA from faulty combining and loss of DNA because it can fragment. The easiest way to think of telomeres is like a shoelace cap. If you ever had the cap on the end of your shoelace come off, it starts to fray and get everywhere, right? Well, the same thing happens to your DNA. If a telomere gets too short, it can come out and faultily combine with other things that it's latching onto and grabbing onto. So the longer your telomeres are, the more youthful your cells are functioning. And you can actually do telomere tests, and they can approximate the health and the function or the youthful functionality of your cells by testing your telomere length. Well, research shows that individuals who take a high quality vitamin and mineral actually extend their telomeres by as much as 8%. And Z-Omega, because it provides fatty acids, also shows that it can help to elongate your telomeres. And I'll throw in there that there's some actually emerging preclinical research that shows essential oils can not only keep or maintain your telomere length, but they can elongate ones that are already shortened. So they're like turning back the clock on aging. And guess which ones have abilities to do that? There's about 6 of them that do, but those that are particularly in Z-Omega, thyme and clove. So you've got 2 of those in that product to help preserve your telomere length and maybe turn back the clock on aging as well. If you're looking for a vegan option, then that is also available. There's 3 different essential fatty acids in Z-Omega, which is ALA, DHA, and GLA. Bringing the discussion back to that your body craves nutrients and not calories, Microplex VMZ is full of micronutrients that are in a glycoprotein matrix that, because of this, they have more bioavailability getting to your tissues and cells to help support normal growth and function and maintenance of cells, provide the nutrients you need for strong bones, aid healthy immune responses, and support healthy digestion. And then again, if you're looking for a vegan option, we do actually have a vegan version that has similar vitamins and nutrients. Now, Alpha CRS Plus contains extracts like Boswellia serrata extract. You may better know that as frankincense, right? So it's a frankincense extract, bromelain, CoQ10, and L-carnitine. These things all support healthy cells, but also are cofactors for cellular energy production. And they provide antioxidant protection for your DNA, as well as to support healthy immune and cognitive function. When we're talking about some macronutrients, some things like protein. Protein is really important to build healthy cells and muscles. And I think many people don't get enough protein to make muscle, maintain muscle mass and function, and don't even come close when you're trying to improve these areas. And in fact, protein is one of the most important things that you can have in your diet if you're trying to lose weight. And so that's something to keep in mind for that. Fiber, of course, most people associate that with bowel regularity, but fiber actually has a lot more research benefits, showing that it helps with heart health and metabolic function and improves gut health and can improve your mood and weight. But if you look at the estimates, most adults don't get, about half of us get the amount of fiber that we need every day. And you should be aiming for, depending on your gender, 25 to 38 grams a day. Greens is a way to just get more greens in your diet, because most people don't get a lot of greens in their diet. In fact, the modern diet is devoid of greens. If you go to a fast food restaurant, I challenge you to generally find a good portion of greens there, right? doTERRA greens is a great way to just boost your body with nutrient-dense foods like moringa, kale, spinach, and broccoli. And if you didn't know, moringa is actually considered the most nutrient-dense food on the planet ever discovered by scientists because of the amount of nutrition contained in the plant. It's used in some third world countries actually to reverse or reduce malnutrition. Digestive health is super important because many of us might not understand how directly gut health affects our overall health. And some of that is because our gut is at the core of our health because we have a microbiome in there that consists of all of the different bacteria and yeasts and other things that are found within our body, as well as it has its own nervous system. Sometimes the brain is called the stomach's called the second brain because it has its own nervous system that's functioning in there. So it's important that we focus on gut health and to support overall health, particularly if you maybe have an immune system that's compromised. One of the reasons for that is because 70%, approximately 70% of your immune system is found within your gut. It's called the gut-associated lymphoid tissue. And within this tissue is a series of multiple types of immune cells that they guide and direct and coordinate immune responses. So maintaining digestive health is crucial to your overall well-being. Poor digestive health really leads to a host of uncomfortable symptoms that can be acute, like abdominal pain, bloating, indigestion. But it also means that you are likely not absorbing your nutrients from the food you eat, which negatively can impact your health down the road. So the question becomes, how do we support our digestive health? One of the ways is by keeping us hydrated. About 60% of your body weight consists of water, and it's vital for every function that occurs within our bodies. Water flushes out toxins from organs, it cushions joints, it moves nutrients to our cells and helps us digest the food that we eat. So if you want to be hydrated, then the general rule of thumb is that you need to drink about half of your body weight in ounces per day. So if you're 160 pounds, that would mean 80 ounces of water per day is what you should consume. Now, if you are highly active or you're in warmer weather, that may increase your needs for water. Another way to support gut health is to eat fresh fruits and vegetables because they are full of natural nutrients and enzymes that aid overall digestive function. So it's important to have that. Another way is to avoid chemicals. As much as we can, we want to avoid foods that have chemicals, and that would be highly processed foods that have synthetic additives, they have dyes, artificial sweeteners, preservatives. all of those can interfere with the digestive process. Movement is another way. Movement is not just good for a physical body, but it's good for the mind as well, and it aids the digestive system health. It actually has been shown in research that if you exercise, you can improve your gut microbiome by doing that. That's something that it also supports bowel regularity. Another way that you can support your gut is by taking enzymes. Enzymes are specialized proteins that act as catalysts for multiple cellular functions in the body. There are some, though, that are specifically designed to help us digest the foods, the macromolecules that we get, and other things so that we better digest our food. Unfortunately, as you cook or process a food, that can actually eliminate some of the natural enzymes found in the food, and that can make supplementation necessary, which is why Terrazyme is available, which contains 10 active whole food enzymes that are often deficient in cooked, processed, and preservative-laden meals. So this helps us digest macros, sugar, fiber, and other food nutrients. It's especially helpful after you've maybe eaten a meal that was full of processed foods or was heavy in certain macros, like maybe you ate a ton of carbs during that meal, and can be used to support targeted needs, such as maybe if you have some sensitivity or an intolerance to specific nutrients found in foods, like maybe lactose in milk, because this contains lactase that helps your body break down lactose. PB Assist is another one that we can use, and this one actually is a symbiotic, not just a probiotic. And how you differentiate those is a symbiotic actually contains probiotics, but it also contains prebiotics, which are food for your probiotics. Wow. So they need to ingest and consume things just like we do. And so by providing them that nutrition with it, then it becomes a symbiotic to allow you to grow and maintain a healthy gut microbiome. Research shows that if you have a healthy gut microbiome, that helps the body maintain healthy immune system function. And I would say that this is one of the most important things you can do, not only for you, but beginning as young as possible with your children. There's been some pretty remarkable research showing that if one longitudinal study actually looked at children over the course of their first 13 years of life. And those that received probiotics in their infancy actually had lower medical costs, went to the doctor less, had less chronic illness, and they actually had less ADHD than their peers who did not have the probiotics. It was significant, the results on that study. So that's something that you should start as young as possible. I usually say that my youngest daughter is my most healthy. And the reason is because she was actually born the year I graduated with my doctorate. And so I already knew better by then, and so I had her on the stuff that she needed from infancy. DigestZen is another thing that could help us because this is in a soft gel format that can be taken internally. It's full of essential oils that have been clinically researched to aid digestion, or those that have been traditionally used to support healthy digestion, like peppermint, ginger, fennel, and anise. And it also comes in the touch version and in a 15 milliliter bottle so that you can rub that on your stomach if you want to. I'll give you just a couple of tips if you decide to do that. One of the best ways to do it is to dilute it and apply it to your lower abdomen, and then do so in a clockwise circular motion. And continue that massage for about 3 to 5 minutes, because that is going to stimulate your intestinal tracts and really be more beneficial. Next, we get to discuss metabolic health and how we can support healthy metabolism. Good metabolic health really means that you're able to digest and absorb the nutrients from your food without significant spikes in your blood sugar, inflammation, blood fat, and insulin. But unfortunately, most of us experience spikes in our blood glucose and usually insulin after we eat. Because as your body processes the things that you're eating, the sugars are then released into the bloodstream, and that can affect your metabolism. So when you look at metabolic health, we need to look at how our daily choices are affecting our metabolic health, because they significantly do. And you need to look at these 5 pillars that are up on the board of healthy eating, daily movement, healthy connections, which is the quality of your relationships, stress management, and then also smart supplementation. These are the keys to having metabolic health, which we know Americans could certainly need, because if you look at this recent study where they looked at the cardiometabolic health of more than 55,000 adults in the United States, the results found that only 6.8% of us have optimal cardiometabolic health. And this is based on your blood pressure, blood sugar, your cholesterol levels, your body weight, and whether you already have cardiovascular disease. If we really want to look at metabolic health, we could say that metabolic health has been declining for at least the last 25 years in the United States. So we really need an awakening and some more attention and focus to our metabolism. Each one of us probably knows someone who looks or acts older or younger than their chronological age. I mean, last month I turned 80 and I don't look old. The day over 79, right? So, not really, but you probably do know somebody like that, right? I usually use the example of my grandpa. He was actually hiking intense peaks with me in his 70s, and so he didn't really have a lot of health limitations until the day that he died. But the reason for this, why they can behave or look a lot younger than they are, has to do with their biological age, which is how healthy and youthful their cells are functioning. The stronger and more healthy your metabolic function, the younger you'll feel from the inside out. This makes total sense because metabolism influences your energy production, your body composition, weight, the way you sleep, and even your cognitive performance. There's a big difference between your lifespan and your health span. Your lifespan is simply the chronological or the number of years that you've lived. And instead, your health span focuses on the quality of those years. We are, as a general rule, living longer lives, and that has to do with some improvements in sanitation and living standards, as well as some medical advances like organ replacements and other things that allow people to live longer that would not have had that opportunity to. But the problem is that many of us are actually spending the last several years of our life with significant health limitations. And what we want to do is expand our health span and limit the number of years that we're spending with any health limitations. Some of you are probably young enough in this room that you're thinking, doesn't apply to me, right? Because you're not feeling the effects of aging yet. But that means it's the perfect time for you to maintain the way you're feeling right now, because the hallmark signs of aging begin about age 25, and this has a direct correlation with the decline in a molecule found inside our cells called NAD+, which significantly drops beginning somewhere into our mid-20s. This molecule is really important because it preserves mitochondrial function, our cellular energy production, and DNA integrity. And if you want to look at how much you're losing, by about age 50, you have about a 50% decline in the amount of NAD plus your body is producing compared to age 20, so over that 30 years period. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at the wellness assessment that came as part of this event, and identified some opportunities to help improve your lifestyle and metabolic health. Because 4 of the primary obstacles we need to address when it comes to our metabolism or cardiometabolic health include maturing fat cells, blood sugar spikes, cellular integrity, and inferior supplements. And doTERRA has a new product system that can help us address each one of these obstacles. At the core of this product system is the new essential oil blend called MetaPowder. And this blend primarily helps us attack the obstacle of maturing fat cells. So by the time we've reached adulthood, we have all the fat cells typically that we're going to have, and we maintain a fat-specific level. These are called adipocytes. And these adipocytes, their job is to collect fat. And as they mature or age, they get larger and larger because they've accumulated more fat. So we can't typically do much about the number of those cells we have in our body, but we can actually almost freeze them in the maturation process to keep them at a smaller size, which is ideal. This particular blend was tested in preclinical research and shown to almost completely inhibit the fat cell maturation process at the highest doses we tested in the study, which can help keep them smaller. It also has oils that are known to help curb cravings. In fact, it has grapefruit essential oil, which a fascinating thing is in a preclinical model, inhaling this caused the subjects to go into lipolysis, which is basically your fats releasing, or your cells are releasing fat for use as energy production. So that's a great thing. There's 4 convenient ways to use it. You have the 15 milliliter bottle, you have the beadlets, you have the soft gels, and the gum. And so there's easy ways to use it. You can take it with you wherever you go. When we think of blood sugar, one of the ways we can think of this is comparing it to what happens when we are aggressively driving. Anybody here have teenage drivers in their home? So if you're like me, you do, and sometimes you're grateful for the seat belt and a handle because of the aggressive driving that goes on, right? As an aside, there actually is an oil for aggressive driving. A study came out just about 2 months ago that shows that if you inhale peppermint essential oil before driving, it reduces your aggressive driving behavior. So I'm already working on some patent pending technology that blows peppermint out of exhaust. But in reality, these aggressive driving wears out our car, right? And if we have aggressive spikes and drops in our blood sugar and insulin, it wears us out too, and we age much faster because of it. And so we want to find a solution to help keep us a lot more level rather than these highs and lows in our blood sugar after we're eating. And that's exactly what MetaPower Assist was designed to do, to help smooth out the curves in your blood sugar around meal times. Part of the way that it does this is because it contains an amino sugar called DNJ in the mulberry leaf extract. And research shows that when you consume this mulberry leaf extract, the DNJ attaches to cells to prevent or inhibit an enzyme that breaks down carbohydrates into simple sugars. And by doing that, some of those carbohydrates then are just exit the body, and so it can reduce your blood sugar spikes by about up to 42% after a meal, which is pretty significant. In addition, you have other supportive ingredients like berberine, cinnamon bark, and the MetaPower Essential Oil Blend, which is found in every one of the MetaPower products. So that will help us use sugars more efficiently, regulate energy balance, help curb cravings. And it's simple. You just take 1 capsule, usually before your largest meal of the day. If you need extra support, you can take 2 capsules before your largest meal, or a capsule before 2 meals during the day. If you want to look and feel your best, you gotta focus on your cells, because you need to do it from the inside out. Inside out means we focus on our cells first. Collagen is the most abundant protein in the human body, and there are currently 28 known types within the body, and these are components of our tendons and our ligaments, our skin, muscles, and more. But like NAD+, you start to have a decline in your own production of collagen beginning around age 25. And so we need to supplement to help make up for that deficit that's occurring. This is the product that contains collagen. It contains 9 types of marine collagen. It's called MetaPower Advantage. And not only does it contain marine collagen, but it also contains ingredients like NMN and NADH that help to our body produce that molecule NAD+. So it's kind of supporting all these things that are falling apart on us when we turn 25 for some reason, right? This will replenish lost collagen, help increase NAD+, and maintain cellular energy or cellular integrity. Some of you are probably currently taking collagen or have taken collagen in the past. Even if you haven't, you've probably heard a lot about them. collagen supplements are only beneficial if they are bioavailable. And one of the problems with collagen is there are these long chains of amino acids, and they have to be broke down into smaller bite-sized pieces for our body to utilize them. These bite-sized pieces are called tripeptides. And your average supplement, collagen supplement, if you were to go to your health food store or if you were going to go buy it on Amazon, will contain about 15% tripeptides. You want to compare that to the MetaPower Advantage. Ours has 70% in tripeptide content, which makes it 12 times more bioavailable, meaning you're going to get more into your cells and have more benefits. The other thing is you've probably heard a couple of myths about collagen. Myth number one that I always hear is that you only need 1 to 3 types of collagen. Well, if you have 28 known types in your body, why would you not want to supplement with as many of those as you can? My opinion is that myth occurred because of all the supplements who only have 1 to 3 types, so that's why they promote 1 to 3 types. The reality is, and I'll show you in the next slide, each of the different types of collagen serves a specific purpose, and so you want to have as many of them in your body as you can. And we provide 9 in our supplement. Myth number 2 is that you have to take collagen in liquid form or it's not going to work. Well, the problem with liquid is that means it's added water into your liquids, into your collagen already. And in order to add water, you have to do 1 of 2 things. You have to add a preservative system, which is typically a synthetic preservative system, or 2, you actually need to pasteurize that, which then kills some of the beneficial nutrients that you're getting. So neither one of those is ideal. Instead, we provide you the collagen in powder form, and you activate it to a liquid form yourself as you put it in the beverage that you're consuming. Now, one of the tips I'll just give you really quickly is if you want to get maximum benefits, you need to guzzle it after you take it. You shouldn't be sipping on it throughout the day. This is not like put it in your water and then you're going to drink it all throughout the first half of your day. You should drink it as quickly as possible because you want all of the 12 synergistic ingredients to get into your body at the same time for maximum benefits. So you can see here on the screen the types of collagen provided in MetaPower Advantage, and you can see that we still provide those ones that are typically found in other collagen supplements that will support your skin health, but you can also see collagen that supports bones and joints and even brain function. So that's why it's so important that we get as many of these collagen types into our body as possible. Now here's the 12 synergistic ingredients that are contained, and we could really talk about each one of these individually, and you've probably taken some of them in isolation before, but I just want to point out a couple of them. I think it's on your left-hand side, is the NMN and NADH. These are the 2 key ingredients that support NAD plus production, and then over on the opposite side, you see the liposomal vitamin C, which is necessary cofactor for your body to produce its own collagen in the body. Now, we've outlined the 5 pillars of metabolic health earlier, which are healthy eating, daily movement, healthy connection, stress management, and smart supplementation. And I'll tell you that smart supplementation may be your secret weapon in order for you to get the results you want. And you can get results alone just by supplementation. But if you want to maximize your benefits, then you should make this a lifestyle thing and focus on everything that's going to slow biological aging and close that gap between lifespan and health span. Research tells us that people who participate in sufficient exercise have lower medical costs, better sleep, they have better moods. Some of you are probably nudging your partner sitting next to you, right? And they're more productive at work, as well as have a lower risk of chronic disease. Only about half of Americans actually get the amount of aerobic exercise that they need per day. And even more scary, only 2% of us do strength training. Now, if I'm going to prioritize strength training and aerobics for health, I'm going to prioritize strength training because it's a use it or lose it. If you don't use your muscles, you lose them. So you've got to do something that strengthens them. Movement gives us healthy joints, strong bones, physical strength, good circulation, good coordination and reflexes. It even improves your concentration and your cognitive function and mental well-being. But despite knowing this, most of us don't get the movement we need and struggle to participate in any kind of physical activity. So a couple of tips to overcome that is find an activity you enjoy, hopefully with somebody that you enjoy being with, and then take it a little at a time. You can't expect yourself to go from sitting in the easy chair to running the Boston Marathon overnight, right? Muscle is more dense than fat, and it's highly metabolically active tissue, meaning that it requires more energy to maintain it, which is why that we want to shift our body composition to have more muscle than fat in the body. More muscle means better metabolic activity, but also a longer life and less injuries in old age. So this guy on the screen, he might live forever, right? The lymphatic system is similar to the cardiovascular system in that it has a series of blood vessels throughout the body, and then it has nodes and organs also. Its function is to move the blood cells throughout the body to fight infection, maintain fluid balance, and to transport fats. But unlike your cardiovascular system, it doesn't have a pump like the heart that moves lymph. And so how does it move that lymph? You're the pump. You have to move. So your movement actually acts as the pump for that to circulate lymph. Research shows that those that exercise regularly have higher energy levels. And this is partly because of the influence exercise has on metabolic health. Because it increases our energy stores, reduces overall fatigue, and just promotes greater vitality. A lack of movement, or more importantly, prolonged sitting, means that your muscles remain in a relaxed state. And when they're in that relaxed state, they don't use as much glucose. And so this means we have more glucose in our bloodstream, and it raises the risk of type 2 diabetes. In addition, when you're sitting for prolonged periods, it actually can tighten certain tissues like your hip flexors and your hamstrings. And so that further stiffens joints and can cause some muscle and back pain. Remarkably, if you sit for more than 8 hours per day, you have a similar risk of dying as those who smoke and those who are obese, regardless if you exercise. So the message is clear that human beings are made to move and move often. It shows, estimates say that only 25% of Americans, adults, or over 25% of American adults do sit for more than 8 hours a day. And almost half of those get no exercise at all. So we need to minimize the amount of time sitting. So I'm not going to be offended if you need to stand up while I'm talking, because I'll know that the message is getting across already, right? One of the things that may delay or prevent us from participating in activity is if we have discomfort. So a great way to relieve this discomfort is through the Deep Blue products. So you have the Deep Blue Rub, the stick. This is something that I rely on quite heavily. I probably smell like it quite a bit because I'm an active guy, right? And that can lead to soreness. And so I put this on to help me make sure I can get back to my activity and not be sidelined. One of the most often ignored parts of a healthy lifestyle is rest and sleep. We're in a culture that's taught us that sleep is unimportant, and it's almost a badge of honor to tell your friend, I only slept 4 hours last night, so I got so much more done. But those who are doing that are not doing themselves any favor, because sleep has a major impact on your quality of life. One of the things that happens during sleep is the brain reviews and stores memories for the day. In addition, it's working on removing a toxic protein from your brain called beta amyloid, that if this builds up later in life, you can have some cognitive issues. So it's important that we sleep. The other part is stress. Anybody here never experienced stress? We all experience stress, right? So we can't do much about the experience of it, but we can change how we respond to stress. And sleep and stress go hand in hand. That's why we're talking about them together, because 70% of sleep problems are associated with psychophysiological issues. The other 30% are split evenly between environmental and medical issues. And when you have more stress, you have higher cortisol levels. And cortisol levels actually reduces melatonin levels, which means that you're not going to have a restful sleep. A lack of sleep can negatively impact your immune system, your cardiovascular system, and even the life cycle of your cells. So it's important that we focus on sleep and give our body the proper time to rest. What happens when we sleep? We go through a sleep cycle, and it has 4 stages. This first stage is really light sleep, and you're somewhat aware of what's happening around you. The second stage, your body temperature starts to decrease, your muscles are relaxing further, and your eye movements stop. By the third stage, you're experiencing deep sleep, and this is your most important stage of sleep of the night because it is considered restorative sleep when your hormones are stabilized, tissues are repaired, the immune system strengthened, and muscles and bones are built. And the fourth stage is REM sleep, and this is where we are dreaming. And this cycle repeats while you're sleeping about 4 to 6 times per night. Before we leave the topic of sleep, I want to talk about one thing that occurs during REM sleep. When you have REM sleep, that's when we process the emotions of our day. And your brain actually is disconnecting emotions from these memories, so that when you relive the memories when you're awake, you can recall that memory without having the emotional response that occurred with it. So that's really a good thing that's occurring during REM sleep. You may wonder how much sleep you need during the day. Infants need about 16 hours a day when they're born, and then eventually by year 1, they're down to about 12 hours. School-age children, you're going to see about 10 to 11 hours is ideal. Adolescents are 8 to 10 hours, and then we get to the teen years. The teen brain actually goes through some significant changes, and their circadian rhythms shift, which makes them their sleep pattern change. And so they will typically want to stay up until about midnight, and then they'll want to wake up about 10. Now, fortunately, we have our kids going to school between 7 and 8 a.m., right? So we're not really doing them any favors there. Adults need about 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and then senior adults, the unfortunate thing that happens is sleep starts to fracture, and you spend less of your time in that deep sleep or that restorative sleep stage as you continue to age. Sleep hygiene is another important thing that we need to spend time doing. These are all the things that you should focus on. You should maintain a consistent schedule of going to bed and waking up about the same time. Keep a pretty traditional or common bedtime routine, which could be maybe you take a bath before bed or you meditate. Try and maintain the bedroom for sleeping. If you're working in your bed, then that teaches your brain that that's a space for working and wants to keep you mentally awake and alert. We should avoid caffeine and other stimulants before bed. Caffeine actually has about a 6-hour half-life. So that means half of it's been metabolized out of your body after about 6 hours. Large or spicy meals before bedtime might lead to indigestion, and that can mean that you're going to process those calories different. Exercise regularly, but not an hour before bed, because that can actually trigger your mind and get you more awake and alert. Bright lights in the morning, dim lights in the evening help support your circadian rhythm. And some interesting research says that the ideal temperature for your bedroom is 60 to 67 degrees while you're sleeping, and that kind of triggers your sleep response. That seems a little cool to me, but that's what they say. So, and then if you can't sleep after about 20 minutes, don't lay in bed anymore. Get up and do some light stretching, do something that's will help you just kind of get up for a minute before getting back in bed. Here's a great sleep routine. Start by taking your Serenity soft gel about 30 to 45 minutes before bedtime. Diffuse, adaptive, or a calming blend like Serenity, cedarwood, citrus oils, lavender. Start that about 15 minutes, 30 minutes before bed. and then massage lavender and vetiver into your feet. Those are all great things to just help your body have a great environment for restful sleep. Emotional health is closely related to sleep. Anxiousness, stress, and crankiness actually can keep you up, but prolonged sleeplessness can actually lead to deeper emotional challenges. So we want to make sure that we're sleeping to support our mental health and vice versa, supporting our mental health so we can sleep. When you're talking about stress, when you feel threatened by something, then this triggers a response which releases and floods the body with some stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. This prepares your body for emergency action, which is your heart pounds faster, your muscles tighten, your blood pressure rises, breath quickens, and senses sharpen. This is beneficial maybe when you've encountered an aggressive dog, but if you're encountering this all the time and it becomes persistent, then it becomes a problem. So you want to protect yourself against that prolonged stress. Some of the signs and symptoms of stress are listed on the slide, and if you're experiencing a lot of these, then now's the time to help bring your nervous system back into balance. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed. Maybe you're worrying about everything. You're a worrywart. You may not feel like being around people or doing things that you used to enjoy. Recognize those as that's a sign of stress that you should start addressing. We're constantly inundated on a daily basis with stimuli that we have to respond to in some capacity. And even positive experiences like marriage and friends and education, they can still be stressful. So we need to learn how to better deal with stress. But stress can actually be a good thing because it can trigger us to do things and meet challenges that maybe we wouldn't be able to accomplish if we didn't have a little bit of stress. Because stress actually can boost your brain power and make you stronger for a short period. Beyond a certain point, though, stress stops being helpful and starts causing major damage to your health, your mood, and even your relationships. An analogy for this is a violin. If you have a violin that the strings are too loose, then we're not going to play good music, right? But if I over-tighten that string, then it's more susceptible to breaking. So we want to have that correctly tightened string that helps us play good music without breaking, right? So long-term stress can lead to a variety of health problems that decrease your overall quality of life. We can't avoid stress, but we can control how we react to it. One trick I like to teach people is an ice trick. Just by changing your body temperature, you can change your mood and stress levels. And so if you feel yourself being really stressed or maybe you're moody, go get a piece of ice and hold it in your hand. And that can actually make a change in your stress level and your mood. Start keeping track of what occurs immediately prior to your stress response. Do you have an upset stomach? Do you have tight shoulders? And learn those trigger signs so that you can start mitigating what's happening before it starts to get into your stress response. These are some of the things that you can do as you hit those feelings. You can, meditate or use progressive muscle relaxation. One of my favorite things to do is to laugh, because I think laughter is a great medicine, and it's hard to stay stressed or be moody if you're laughing. So that's a great way to do that. Here's some other things that can help us if we're maybe in more that persistent response where our fight or flight's being activated more than we want it to. Eat better, because stress depletes some important nutrients like magnesium, zinc, B vitamins, and we need to replenish those through nutrition and supplementation. Regular movement, because movement actually releases endorphins, but it also reduces cortisol and adrenaline. Participate in a hobby. And one of the things I really like to do is to serve other people, to get my own problems off of my mind. As I focus on somebody else, that really helps me. LLV is the foundation of your health, including your mental health, because Microplex VMZ replenishes micronutrients that are lost during the stress response. Omega-3 fatty acids have been shown to support good mental health in study after study. And alpha-CRS provides you antioxidants that can counteract any antioxidant or oxidative stress that can occur. There are actually lots of choices of essential oils that better help you cope with stress. My favorite essential oils are wood and resin oils, and usually combined with citrus oils. One of my favorite combinations is actually frankincense essential oil with wild orange. And I've actually diffused that in my office, and some people come visit me, and then a few days later go to their office, and I can smell them diffusing it. So that shows you that it changes people, and they recognize what it is. We're exposed to countless toxins every single day with everything we do. Other countries have actually taken action to protect their citizens from chemicals linked to cancer and reproductive harm, but the U.S. doesn't even require basic safety testing of ingredients before they're used in a personal care product. One group of common chemicals that are particularly alarming are called PFAS, or per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. The reason for those is they're considered forever substances because they don't ever naturally break down. A toxin is defined as any substance that produces stress on the body, and stresses can build up over time, creating what we call a toxic load. And these toxins tend to specifically target the endocrine system, which is a series of glands that makes hormones within the body. Hormones, we know, carry information from one cell to another and influence every cell in the body. And so they're critical because if one of these hormones goes out of balance, then typically all the rest try and compensate, and then you soon have them all out of whack, and that's not good. Endocrine system disrupting chemicals are chemicals that can mimic or disrupt the action of natural hormones. They can do it in one of four ways. They can block natural hormones, they can alter the creation and storage of hormones, change your sensitivity to the hormones your body's producing, or they can even trick your body into thinking that they are hormones and then behave as if they just were given a hormone. The consequences of excess exposure to endocrine disruptors is hormone-related cancers, obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, or thyroid function. Your thyroid is particularly sensitive to toxins, so that's important. And then also neurocognitive deficits. And I would add that these toxins, the endocrine disrupting chemicals, are one of the reasons we're starting to see young girls starting to menstruate around 8 years old because of their exposure to these. There are actually thousands of separate endocrine disrupting chemicals that have been identified. Most come from one of 5 categories. They can be plant-derived, medical supplies, industrial chemicals, pharmaceuticals, and then your household and personal care and consumable items, which is where I want to focus some of the time on. Women use on average 12 personal care products each day, which exposes them to about 160 different chemicals. Men only use about 6, so whether we're less hygienic or not is a debate for another day, but that exposes us to only about 85 chemicals. In 40 countries, there's been 1,400 chemicals banned. How many would you think the United States has banned so far? We haven't even hit the double digits yet. 9 is the total that we've banned. I find it really interesting. Some of the most common chemicals that we're exposed to that are endocrine disrupting include BPA, parabens and phthalates, and triclosan. One I'll just point out is triclosan, which recently the FDA banned as an antibacterial agent in soaps because they said that there was a lack of efficacy and safety data regarding triclosan. But the interesting thing is they decided that it was okay to still use it in toothpaste and put it in our mouths. So that's the kind of regulatory bodies we have to deal with. Your body is amazingly equipped with detoxification and elimination channels like the digestive system, the liver, and the kidneys, and even the skin. The proper functioning of these pathways requires proper nutrition and digestion. A healthy diet is probably the most important way to detoxify. So you should focus on lots of water and plenty of whole foods. But sometimes the body can get overwhelmed and need a little help because of the exposure that we have.
one of the ways to help our body is to ditch toxic products and switch to more natural products. You already spend money on household and personal care products, so why not use ones that are more natural? Look at the products that you have in your closet and in your bathroom cabinets and drawers. If you need some help identifying products that maybe have chemicals you should avoid, there's websites and apps you can actually get that can let you scan a barcode or enter an ingredient to evaluate its potential harmful effects. Luckily, doTERRA offers many products that support us as we make efforts to reduce our toxic exposure. Some of those are our skincare products. You already trust our essential oils and probably our personal care or our dietary supplements, so why not extend to our skincare products? We have essential skincare, we have Barrage, we have the spa products. They're clean options for you, and we avoid known endocrine disrupting chemicals and instead focus on ingredients that are nourishing and beneficial to your skin and body. And of course, there's the sun care line. This can help to reduce photoaging because it uses a non-nano zinc, which blocks UV ray absorption. And don't forget that we actually have an after sun care product as well. I recently actually helped an individual who had frostbite because of ice exposure with that after sun care product. Most parents want to have personal care items that are safe not only for themselves but also for their kids, but are still effective. And you see on the screen some of the options like our deodorant, Correct-X, and the baby products. But I'll highlight this one, Correct-X. This is one that I think should be in every bathroom in your home, because it's great to know that you can use the power of essential oils to support the skin's natural healing processes. So it's great for cuts and abrasions and other cuts like that. Another group of products that are helpful when focusing on reducing your toxic load are citrus essential oils, because many citrus essential oils are high in a compound called limonene. Limonene has cleansing properties when it's used topically, like on surface, teeth, and skin, or internally aids detoxification processes. It also is something that's known to support healthy metabolism and immune and respiratory and gastrointestinal health. So I always keep these in my bathroom or in my kitchen, because I found like citrus oils are awesome when you're trying to get difficult to clean dishes clean. Add it with a little bit of baking soda and it scrubs things really clean. I'll add one other thing for citrus oils. You can ask my youngest daughter that they're great for removing gum from your hair.
Yes.
So being aware of the toxins in our environment and having the education and know-how to reduce these toxins is vitally important to your overall well-being. Informed self-care really is taking primary responsibility for your health and being proactive in your health care. Self-care has been defined as the practice of taking action to preserve or improve one's own health. It's kind of like changing the oil in your vehicle. You do this because you want to maintain the longevity of the engine and reduce problems that would occur if you didn't. Same thing with informed self-care. It's proactively maintaining a state of health. The current medical paradigm actually waits for problems to occur and then reacts, and that typically prescribes something to stop the body's corrective actions that are manifesting as symptoms, and that result is the body goes to a deeper level of correction and makes the symptoms worse. And so we're trying to stop it before that occurs by being informed on our self-care. And you can really lump those into 4 different categories: your metabolic concerns, immune function, inflammatory responses, and mental health. Self-care can be put in that. So for your metabolic concerns, we're going to use LLV for foundation, proteins, greens, and fibers for our macronutrients, and the MetaPower system to optimize macronutrient utilization. For immune support, we have the great and amazing On Guard products. So that can help support your body's own natural immune processes. And then for inflammation, we're going to use Deep Blue and also turmeric and the Copaiba soft gel. So take the supplements for systemic support, topical products for targeted support. Then you have mental health. So please don't overlook your mental and emotional health. From a holistic perspective, anything that affects our physical health will also affect our mental and emotional health and vice versa. So with this, experiment a bit and see what works best for you. There's some of my favorites are Balance and Adaptive and Wild Orange. If we better understand these pillars, then we're going to build a framework that helps us make better informed healthcare decisions. So next comes the fun part. We need to experience and search and ask. So I personally recommend one of my books for the search part, but I might be a little bit biased. So I'm going to skip through these since we've kind of already discussed them. I'm running out of time fast. The last pillar in our wellness pyramid is the proactive medical care. And we need to, what happens is we need to really work with an integrative healthcare practitioner as much as possible, because we don't want to disconnect from it completely. We want to use the best of both worlds with focus on the least invasive but still effective option first. So I invite you to get curious and not curious, and this means before you react, leverage your intuition and experiment a little bit. Let's see, I want to get to just a couple more things real quick. Okay, so I know I've shared a lot of information, and hopefully you brought your terabyte hard drive and were able to just download that all into your brain. But I hope at the very least you feel a little bit empowered to take back your health, and I've discovered some solutions that you can implement starting today. But one thing I really want to encourage you is I'm only a single individual, and no matter how many times I share, I can only reach a limited number of people. So I'm really glad you're all here, because I love partnering with people like you that are like-minded, that can help me share the benefits of Natural Health and doTERRA's amazing products. So I invite you, because now you've been empowered, I feel like you have an obligation to now go and share what you've learned. And so if you can go and think of the people in your life that can benefit from what we just talked about, I invite you to go and share that with them. This could be your neighbor, it could be your grocery store clerk, this could be your family member, but we need to shift the paradigm of health in the United States. We need to be more proactive, we need to be more focused on our own informed self-care, and more focused on using natural solutions that are effective and evidence-based. And so I appreciate you listening to me today. Thank you so much.
Yay.